rooftops and alleyways at night, searching for justice. Blind justice. A guardian devil.
Hello, welcome to Cynic Critique, where we get real with cult films. Last week, we saw the possible comings of the apocalypse. This week, it's about the devil, the guardian devil, Daredevil, as we discuss the 1989 TV movie The Trial of the Incredible Hulk, 2003's Daredevil, and for punishment, 2005's Elektra. Do you want to start us off?
Yeah. Trial of the Incredible Hulk, the 1989 TV movie for NBC.
I can go to work on getting you out of here. Maybe I belong in a cage.
Directed by Bill Bixby himself. He's David Banner, as they call him in this, just to confuse people, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll get into that later. Written by Gerald D. Pago, and like I said, it stars Bill Bixby as David Banner, not Bruce Banner. Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk. He's not in it much. Rex Smith as Matt Murdock, Daredevil.
Of Street Hawk fame.
Yeah, and John Rhys Davies, that's Gimli from Lord of the Rings.
And that guy from Indiana Jones.
Yeah, as Wilson Fisk. Think I should read any more of these, or...?
I mean, there's Turk, if you've got him.
You know what, I don't think I've found him in the casting anywhere. Really.
And there's Nancy Everhard.
Yeah, Nancy Everhard as Krista Klein. There's Marta Du Bois as Ellie Mendez. She's actually more crucial to the plot. The synopsis. When Banner is held as a witness to a violent crime linked to the Kingpin, the fugitive is helped by lawyer Matt Murdock, who is also the superhero Daredevil.
Yeah. It's Mark Akeson as Turk.
Right. Akeson. Why is that name familiar? Oh, never mind. We'll get into that later as well, I've just realised.
Let me guess, he was in the runnings for Matt Murdock.
No. The name. It's just the surname, Akeson.
Okay.
I wondered why it was familiar and I remembered.
Well, if you want a fun fact about him, just from a quick Google, he's in the Chronicles of Riddick, which stars Vin Diesel, who's up for the role of both Bullseye and Daredevil in the 03 film. Yeah. And he has a role in Reindeer Games as well, which is a Ben Affleck movie who did play Daredevil.
Incredible. I do have a note that just says, Turk is in this.
Well, he's a comic character, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a recurring part in the Frank Miller stuff and I think some of the later stuff.
Because the trivia on IMDb had a funny, I thought it wrote up Turk quite funny. Yeah. Turk, the recurring non-powered, non-costumed and non-competent lowlife who has wandered in and out of various Daredevil stories, appears in this television movie. And it says a character similar to the Arranger also appears, and the Arranger's like a guy that helps Kingpin. I guess he's kind of like what Wesley is in the 03 Daredevil movie and the Netflix Daredevil series.
Yeah. What are your actual thoughts on this one anyway?
I was surprised. Well, I remember watching this years ago now as well.
20 years ago?
Maybe. And I remember quite enjoying it, but not much more after. You know, the memories have kind of faded. But I guess my love for Daredevil's grown over the years. Even more so since the Netflix series, I would say. That expanded some of the lore, because I haven't read many of the Daredevil comics. I've only read a few.
Yeah.
I know you've read dozens of them. I always liked how Daredevil was in this. And I was surprised that people weren't a fan of the black suit that they gave him.
Yeah.
Which apparently hadn't appeared in the comics at this point. It appears the year after.
Yeah.
So I was quite surprised about that. Because I think Miller was writing for Daredevil in the early 80s as well. So
1980.
I want to say 84.
No, 19,
is it 81?
Yeah, very early. I'm always surprised at how early it is.
Yeah, because I thought it was his Batman Year One that got him to work on Daredevil, but I'm guessing it's the other way around.
Yeah. And he only got to work on Daredevil. Well, he was the artist on Daredevil.
Yeah, I forgot who the writer is now.
And they were struggling for writers and creative teams on it, and he really wanted to crack at it, so he got on it and defined Daredevil for everyone.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because that's the one you get in pretty much the 2003 movie. You get the whole Frank Miller run in that near enough.
It's the same with the 3 seasons of Netflix.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all his run, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because Born Again's his run, isn't it?
Yeah.
Born Again, the story arc, which season 3 Netflix takes over, not the current Disney series Born Again.
Yeah, the Netflix stuff takes the origin stuff from Man Without Fear as well, which the black suit debuts in comic books.
Yes.
Yeah, like you said, the black suit, no one really liked it in this. Then Frank Miller run in Man Without Fear brought it in.
Yeah.
Comic fans seem to like it. And then the Netflix series did it, and that's everyone's preferred suit, it seems.
Yeah. It really works for that show with that gritty element.
Yeah.
But Frank Miller, when he did Batman Year One, he redefined Batman then as well.
Yeah.
But, that became his definitive origin for many years until, I guess, in the reboot with Zero Year and so on, New 52. So Frank Miller's cultural impact on those two characters is pretty big, but I would say more so with Daredevil for having such a long run.
Yeah.
But yeah, I quite liked the black suit in this. There's a lot of detail in it that you can't quite see in the film.
Yeah.
There's a good promo shot, I think, online somewhere where you do get to see it quite well.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a better costume than what it looks like it was going to be in that 70s TV series with Daredevil and Black Widow, where you can only find like a promo image or two of that. But I don't think it was ever filmed.
No.
I kind of hope it was filmed and it gets leaked somewhere, because I would like to see if it was filmed. But that would have been the first time in live action we would have had a Daredevil Black Widow relationship, because so far now we've had 3 adaptations and it's not in any of them.
No, it's not.
I was also quite surprised how well this was shot.
Yeah.
For a TV movie, there's some pretty dynamic scenes. I think what lets it down is it's in the, I forgot the aspect ratio that they would shoot for TV as opposed to a widescreen for a film.
Yeah.
In widescreen, I think some of these shots would have looked far more dynamic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great looking film. The cinematographer on it was Chuck Colwell.
Right.
He does the other 2 TV movies of The Incredible Hulk, The Incredible Hulk Returns and
The Death of.
Yeah, The Death of the Incredible Hulk. But he was the second unit cinematographer for The Terminator and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3.
Oh, great.
I thought it was weird how
What a mix.
There were 2 time-related films, but I thought it'd be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I thought it'd be more
I thought that's what you were going to say, because of that more 80s realistic vibe.
Yeah, but no, it was the third one, and I was like, oh, this guy's got a bit of range.
But for a film called The Trial of the Incredible Hulk, there's very little trial of the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
He's not on trial.
No, that was the major criticism for this from a lot of people.
Because the lack of Hulk, I'm fine with.
Yeah.
It's great. Because this was supposed to lead into a Daredevil spin-off TV series. It was kind of working as a backdoor pilot, they call it.
Yeah.
And I found the characterization of Matt in this to be pretty accurate.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially for just a TV movie. They'd have filled stuff out, I'm sure, in his own show if it had gone forward. Because some things I didn't like about this, but it took me 20 minutes to realise, which I'm assuming is a good thing, is that Matt Murdock's not wearing glasses.
Yeah. Which is fine.
One thing I have a problem with in this, and I guess it's a problem with the 03 movie, but for different reasons, Matt lives in a rather large, nice suburban house. Well, he's supposed to be similar to Spider-Man, where he's like living paycheck to paycheck kind of guy, I always thought.
Yeah.
Because he takes on the risky clients. Because he goes on good faith that he believes them to be honest and good people.
Yeah.
Where here he seems to be doing really well for himself.
Oh, yeah. I don't even know how far in his career is supposed to be.
No, that's the other thing. I also appreciate that Banner has a beard in this. It's nothing and something at the same time. It really adds to this travelling man routine that the Bill Bixby series was.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he has a beard in his own show for a while.
No.
I think that comes later.
If at all.
But he has a beard in this, and then he transforms into the Hulk. Instantly, the Hulk's got no beard, and it's like, oh, Hulk would look great with a beard.
Yeah.
Although, sadly, Banner does shave later on in the film.
Yeah.
It's more when he starts to build his relationship with Matt Murdock as a team.
Oh, yeah.
He goes and cleans himself up, and they kind of inspire each other, don't they?
Yeah, yeah. It's one of my favourite bits of the film when they're sat in Murdock's little house, and Matt tells him how he got blinded by radiation.
Yeah.
And Banner says, oh, let me have a look.
Oh, yeah, and he just walks over.
Walks over, just stands over, and then just goes like, nothing we can do.
Fastest assessment ever. And no real look. He didn't have a torch, to watch the pupils dilate, to look in the back of the retina or anything.
No.
Yeah, maybe one of the best medical checks I've ever seen on TV and film.
I could get away with that being alright, but there is a part of this film that I'm not too keen on, that is at the end.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that a little bit.
Yeah. Because that just really comes out of nowhere.
But again, I think they do great with Daredevil. I think his costume's great. I think how they quickly brush over his backstory is fine. And we actually, I was surprised, we get his, I guess, sense vision, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, radar sense.
Okay for its time.
Yeah.
It was green.
Yeah. But I think that's going on the radar thing.
Possibly. I thought it was to contrast the red, but his costume ended up being black.
Well, they didn't think it would translate well being red. And Stanley didn't like it at all.
What?
The black suit.
No?
No.
Oh.
He said something about it, really emphasising that he's a blind man, which I didn't really get.
No, I don't get that either. Is there colour in it? I don't see colour.
But I know Stanley really hated the X-Men suits, which were black.
Yeah.
So,
and he didn't like the 03 Daredevil either, but we'll get on to that.
Yeah.
Eventually. I don't know why I wrote this, but I hope you can remember. I've put, that knife's noisy.
Oh, it's the guy he confronts in the alleyway.
When he meets Turk, right?
He like gets a knife out on him, and Daredevil quickly disarms him and just says that knife is noisy.
Yeah, right.
But it's just a really weird thing to say.
Yeah.
Because they don't know it's a radar sense. Like,
the strangest thing in this movie for me, yours is a certain part at the end that we will get to. Yeah. Mine is what inspires him to become Daredevil.
Yeah.
There's a slight flashback where he's a grown man.
Yeah.
And he's at some sort of like protest outside a police station or something, and I think it's the chief of police says something like that. It's not like there's some Daredevil out here helping us or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the words are exactly, and instantly Matt Murdock goes like, that's what I should do. And then you get a quick flashback of him doing some training in the gym to be like an acrobat, and he's on one of them pommel horses or whatever it's called, and he's learning to box, I think, or fight or whatever. And then that's the point. He does some in costume. I don't know if it's the actor or a stunt guy. I would guess a stunt guy.
Yeah.
There's some really good, proper formed kicks, and the gymnastics that you see from him are really good as well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's something that doesn't feel right about it.
Yeah.
It feels too perfect and not. It doesn't feel like that's how somebody would do that in this world.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm doing it because they do it in the comics. It feels kind of staged. Whereas I think the Netflix Marvel series, when he would do anything like that, it felt kind of true to how his character would move. And that set piece had obviously been thought out of how he's going to approach that obstacle. Whereas in this, it's like, do you think you could backflip up there? Or and then it's like, hell yeah. And then he just does a perfectly round backflip.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's through the more modern thing of parkour, how it's evolved for manoeuvring around. Because parkour weren't really a thing in 89.
No.
So makes you wonder, actually, if parkour was kind of inspired from comic books, where you see the heroes traipsing across rooftops. And some Frenchman was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that.
Maybe. No, I think for the time, like, this looks great.
Yeah.
Because it's not... And I think it's mainly on the fact that it's on TV sort of budget, where can't have that same level as, like, say, 89 Batman, that same year.
Yeah.
You know, but I think it kind of holds up for a TV version.
The difference as well is Batman 89, they kind of go larger than life with the storyline they're telling and the Joker.
Yeah.
The fact Daredevil's also a street level hero like Batman, but they kept the show, I guess, quite street level for this TV movie.
Yeah.
So that lower budget kind of works.
Yeah.
It stops it appearing.
Yeah. Like I said, for me, that budget is the only thing really holding it back, and the fact it's on TV.
Yeah.
It's just all them sort of limitations, because they don't have the same scheduling.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's got to be out for this sort of
The biggest change I would have made first, with any... If they could have budgeted for it, and I guess it's more for the fact it's a TV movie, is that I would have gone widescreen.
Yeah.
But obviously as a TV movie, it wouldn't be viewed widescreen. You'd be losing frame to cut it in. So I understand that decision.
Yeah.
But I would have loved it if they had shot this widescreen on this budget and just put it in cinemas anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's a great looking film as is.
I made another note, and I'm hoping you can translate what I'm meaning here. Bag of tricks.
Bag of tricks.
I'm assuming, with it being at the end of my notes, that it's when they go to face off with Kingpin. And I'm guessing it's Banner.
Yeah, I think he has.
No.
No.
Daredevil. Because he has the sort of launcher.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes across on the rope, doesn't he?
Yeah,
and Banner just goes in through the door.
Yeah, I think that might be my other worst thing in this. It is when you get that launcher.
Yeah.
He launches this line across.
Yeah.
And then I think it stays too long of him going across this line.
Yeah. Yeah, that cut could have been a little shorter, I think.
Yeah.
But I guess if you've paid for this line to be going for somebody to go across, it seems a waste to just have a couple seconds. But it really should have been a shorter shot.
Yeah. Because the longer you just stare at this guy, it's like...
This is taking a long time.
Yeah, and it doesn't look particularly great.
No.
Maybe for the time it looked great.
Maybe
it's one of them things where it just dates over time. But no, I am shocked that this didn't do as well as it should have, I don't think.
Yeah, I couldn't help while watching this, and I think when we watched it for the first time as well, was how good would it have been if, is it Nick Hammond? His Spider-Man appeared.
Yeah.
I would have loved that.
I think it's Neil Hammond.
It's an N name, isn't it? There can't be many of them. Because there was a 70s live-action Spider-Man series. I don't think it's all that well known in the UK. But that used to be on TV in the 80s, I believe, repeated and stuff.
Yeah.
And it did get a VHS releasing because we've got it. For some of the two-parters they did. I think one is Spider-Man Strikes Again.
Yeah, something like that. All right, Nicholas Hammond.
Nicholas Hammond. I said Nick, didn't I?
Nick from 77.
Right, so I was right about 70.
Yeah.
That's a similar time to Hulk.
Yeah.
If not the same year.
And then they did the TV movie of Strikes Back, and I could probably search it.
I won't bother, we're not talking about Spider-Man. But I just couldn't help but think how great it would have been to have had Spider-Man in this.
Yeah, it would have been pretty cool.
What's weird is I think, well, it's not weird. I think it's an odd choice to pair Daredevil with Hulk. They're not the two you would think, I'll put these two together.
No, but what you got to remember is the previous year they were like, let's try Thor.
Yeah.
And it was quite well received apparently, but not enough.
Incredible Hulk Returns.
Yeah, tried doing Thor, and I think they went, oh, that didn't do well. Thor's too big. Let's go smaller. And they went complete opposite end of the scale. Got Daredevil.
Yeah. And
to be fair, it really works.
Yeah, I'm very surprised he didn't get a live action series from it.
Yeah.
Because if this was 89, that's a series we would have definitely seen repeats of in the 90s growing up. And I can't help but think I would have loved it.
Yeah, this would have probably been one of my favourites. Sorry.
Because I genuinely think Rex Smith is a great casting choice for the first live action adaptation of the character.
Yeah, he was really good. We've praised him quite a bit, but who we haven't really talked about is John Rhys Davies.
No, who is phenomenal, I think.
He's really good in this part. I imagine some people criticised him for not being the bald Kingpin from the comic books.
Yeah.
So,
which honestly doesn't bother me.
Apparently he said he would go bald.
Yeah.
But producers said no, it's fine. Which I agree with.
They slick his hair real back, so you kind of get the same silhouette.
And they give him weird glasses.
Yes, the glasses I don't quite understand.
Glasses.
Yeah. Very dark mirrored glasses, aren't they?
I think it's just to add a bit of comic booky flair to it, maybe.
Maybe. It kind of works, though, with his apartment he lives in. He's living in I think it's like the comics. He's living in a high-rise sort of penthouse suite thing.
Yeah.
But
you had a note of that, I believe.
Yeah, I think it looks very Scarface in its interior design.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that's probably what they were aiming for as well. But he's really good in this. He really has the voice for it, though, doesn't he?
What are Fisk's motives in this? He wants the diamonds, but then he's going to share the diamonds with these other gang members?
I don't really know. I think it'll got explained later.
And the guys he sends at the beginning that turn out to be working for him, who do the diamond heist, they're some of the most incompetent crooks ever.
Oh, yeah. Because they do that, and then they decide they're causing trouble on the train.
Not just that. If you're robbing diamonds, why take the subway to escape?
Well, yeah.
You would have a driver, surely, or... But no, you'll just walk on foot and take the public transport and decide you're going to cause a scene on the tube and unleash the Hulk.
Yeah. The unleashing of the Hulk part weren't part... Like, they didn't know they were going to do that, but it is very incompetent of them to cause trouble on a train anyway, because even if it weren't the Hulk, it could have just been some guy. Like, it could have been Murdoch on the train, for all we know, as well. Yeah, he could have stopped it.
One thing I'm not sure of with this, and mostly because I don't remember it saying, but I probably wouldn't remember it being said either because I was expecting it, but I can't recall it being said. Bill Bixby's Banner is famous for saying, "Don't make me angry, you won't like me when I'm angry."
Yeah.
I don't remember him saying it in this. It doesn't say it in the trivia anywhere that he doesn't say it, so he must have said it at some stage. Like I said, I would have expected him to say it, so it's not going to stand out to me. But upon trying to remember it being said in the film, I have no memory of it being said.
I can't really remember it being said, not in the same way as he usually says it.
Yeah.
But I think it might be in there somewhere.
I can only imagine it's when he's detained in the cell.
I thought it was on the subway, but I'm really not sure. I have a vague thing of him saying something, but I don't think it, like I say, it's not as prominent as it usually is. But I think that's going into the groundedness of the.
Well, as we're talking about Daredevil, because that's why we're talking about this film, would you recommend Daredevil fans to watch this if they haven't seen it?
Yeah.
I would say yes. Even if it wasn't as good as I think it is, I think it's important to see that first live-action adaptation of the character.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a really good one to say it comes into a Hulk piece of media. Yeah.
It's also not just Daredevil's first live-action.
No.
It's Kingpin's.
Turks,
I guess, yeah. But also it's Stan Lee's first actual Marvel Comics cameo.
Yeah. Apparently Kirby had his cameo in the actual series.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I wonder how we managed to get first.
Being Jack Kirby, innit?
Yeah.
King of Comics.
Yeah.
But yeah, Stan Lee was in this. He's in the courtroom scene because he was upset. He was replaced by a stuntman for his little bit. He's still there, but I mean, like, he gets thrown or something.
Yeah.
Gets replaced.
If I'm right, you wanted to be thrown.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Stan Lee really likes being part of it, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you wouldn't do that many cameos if you didn't. Apparently, as well, this is the only time for Bixby as, his adaptation of the character. Well, it's more actually Lou Ferrigno's Hulk. It's apparently the first time where he actually gets the trademark comic accurate purple pants. But I don't remember him looking particularly purple in what we watched.
Even the images from that scene, they don't really look very purple.
No. I can only assume it's very dark purple.
Maybe it's
very dark purple.
Yeah, but the images to me, they never look purple.
Also, through the Banner Hulk, there was a recurring character of Jack McGee, played by Jack Colvin, and he was unable to reprise his role for this due to being, he had to retire from acting after suffering a stroke.
Yeah.
I think just about a year earlier.
Yeah.
Because he's like a recurring character throughout the Bixby's series.
Yeah.
I think he's a reporter that's kind of like looking into it.
Yeah, he was. We mentioned how the Daredevil costume, we do like it. I should have brought this up earlier. Sorry. But costumes on this were done by Jerry Woodman and Judy Truken. I don't know if they both designed everything or what, but Jerry Woodman, they worked on X-Files, I want to believe.
Okay.
It's the only thing I've noted now.
That's the sequel movie from 2008, isn't it?
Yeah. I've got that noted for quite a good reason. It'll come back later.
Yeah, I think I know why.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Alright. Interesting.
We'll find out. Oh, you mentioned about Banner in this being called David and not Bruce.
Yeah.
Do you want to go into that?
Oh yeah, I said I'd probably go into that. It's because on the original series, for whatever reason, the producers and whatnot thought it was a bit unrealistic or something about alliteration for names.
Yeah.
And then they cast Bill Bixby.
Yeah. Who has the same alliterated name.
Yeah.
As in two B's, I mean.
Yeah. BB.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you just think, well, maybe they didn't like the name Bruce or whatever.
Yeah. I think they put Bruce's middle name somewhere in the show later in the actual series, but I'm not 100% on that. I might be mixing it up that in the comics they make his middle name David or something in reference to the series.
No, in the comics, at one point, I know for a fact he was Robert Bruce Banner.
Right.
And then I just think, where'd the name Robert come from all of a sudden? So, I don't know. I'm not as big of a Hulk fan as I should be.
I think the thing with Hulk is his comics seem very hit and miss from what I've experienced.
Yeah, I never
It's
know
like you can read some, it's like, that's great, and then there's others, like, oh, that's not very good.
Yeah, I never know where to jump in. And people go, oh, you need to read this run, but I don't know. I've just never gotten around to it, I guess. There's more important characters for me.
I assume that you read that your DVD copy of this film is different to what was televised.
Yeah, but I can't remember how exactly.
They're edited slightly different, and the dream sequence showing Hulk throttle the prosecuting attorney and the slightly longer.
Right.
Same with when the prison scene where they try to kill Banner, that's made a little longer.
Right.
I think it's more for the violence on TV or to fit a runtime for television with commercial breaks and whatnot. So the DVD will have just got them extra bits. Because a lot of TV episodes you'll find when you buy the DVD box sets, they've got like deleted scenes or the scenes run a little longer than they did.
Yeah.
This isn't the first time Matt Murdock's had to defend another Marvel hero. Because obviously in his own series he defends Frank Castle in season 2.
The Netflix series.
And I think he's defending Peter Parker in No Way Home.
Yeah, he was. He's there.
Yeah.
I can't
remember enough of that movie.
No.
I just remember all the cameo nostalgia pops that they did.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was that. And then there's also the fact that Nancy Everhard is in this. And she's in The Punisher, with starring Dolph Lundgren from the same year.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know if you were going to bring up.
I weren't sure if to bring that up now or later. And when I say later.
Yeah. Next week.
Yeah. Hint, hint.
I guess some little fun fact is that Jonathan Rhys-Davies did later appear in the 96 animated Hulk TV show, Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
So we kind of got to work with Lou Ferrigno again.
Yeah.
I think he's voicing Thor, and he voices him in the Fantastic Four series from 1990s as well.
Yeah. He did quite a bit of voice work, I think.
But I really enjoyed this. I think it looks pretty good for a TV movie from 89.
Yeah.
I mean, I even like Bill Bixby as Banner.
Yeah,
there's something he brings to it that just works.
Yeah.
But I think this was maybe our first introduction to Hulk.
Definitely a live action version.
I just mean Bixby's Hulk.
I don't know, the 90s animated series Hulk. That's the one.
I know, but I'm not sure if I watched this because I'd seen this when I was younger. Because I know that our granddad used to like watching Lou Ferrigno Hulk.
Yeah.
And he'd always used to tell me it was on when we were there, after school or whatnot, if ever it was on, or a weekend when we were there.
Yeah.
He would say, oh, Hulk's on. And he used to like watching it because it used to make him laugh. The "you won't like me when I'm angry" stuff, and the eyes change and the hulking out.
Yeah.
Which it is kind of funny.
The eye change is pretty good for the time, I think.
Yeah. Pretty good transitional shot. There's also something in this that I thought you'd say that you haven't, because you pointed out while we were watching it.
What was that?
It's about Daredevil.
Is it about him not having his Catholic beliefs?
I don't know if it's because the story doesn't warrant it.
It only really focuses on his law side and his Daredevil side, and the comic books you have the Catholicism, which is always a big part of it.
But no, it's not that. I don't think he had his billy clubs in this either.
He did.
Did he?
Yeah. Is it the fact he isn't red-haired?
No.
No. Damn, I don't know what it is.
You pointed out when it happened.
When it happened?
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
Hallway?
Oh, yeah. Is this the first time Daredevil has the hallway fight? Was this the inspiration for Netflix's hallway fights?
Right. You know it's not the inspiration for Netflix's hallway fight because that comes from Old Boy.
But it started here.
But
for Daredevil.
He definitely got his first. It's a weird little scene, but it's nice to have.
It was a good scene.
Because he goes up into the... I don't know why, but like somehow he just disappears into the roof of the hallway.
Yeah.
And comes up behind them and they didn't know how he got there.
Yeah.
It's like, you watched him climb up on the roof and then you just lost him in the darkness off screen that we couldn't see.
Yeah.
Like, what happened?
Well, they're supposed to have shut the lights out, right, or something.
I'm not sure. Maybe they shut the lights off at some point.
Yeah. And then he could just hide, I guess.
Because he thinks spoilers, Matt Murdock thinks that Kingpin's figured out that he's blind or his weakness to like the sound being high-pitched frequency sort of thing.
Yeah.
And Banner like points out that they have no idea. They just threw everything they had at you kind of thing.
Yeah, because they had bright lights and everything. Nothing really
they were just trying to throw him off, and it's only the sound that worked.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't realise the bright lights, I guess.
Yeah.
So
and Banner even points out that sound would have took out any guy.
Disorientate anyone. Because it was such a high frequency.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a pretty cool little thing, because that's where Banner then has to talk Murdoch round into going, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like to carry on.
Yeah.
Oh, and then obviously we haven't actually said what it is you don't like at the very end of this.
Oh, do you want me to?
Yeah, you seem like you're chomping at the bit to say it earlier. So
not really, but it's just the strangest thing in this film, because, like we said, it kind of keeps rather grounded. Even Hulk is to a minimum. Hulk is probably the least believable thing in this film until, like, right at the end, Daredevil catches up with Kingpin on the rooftop, and Kingpin is in a really weird flying car.
Yeah, it looks like your regular hovercraft type thing.
Yeah.
With the inflatable bottom.
Yeah, and then it takes off into the sky, and Daredevil pretty much right next to it. I'm quite certain he could have just jumped on there if he wanted to.
Yeah. They didn't have the budget to have done such a stunt, and they clearly didn't have time for the TV slot to have the extra scene where he jumps onto this vehicle. But obviously the idea was to set it up for him to return through an ongoing...
Yeah. But in my mind, I just think you could have just done a helicopter.
Yeah.
And just have it already flown off. Because, like, halfway up, like, just enough,
Yeah, because it's in, like, one of them shipping containers sort of thing, and the sides just drop and it flies off.
And then you've got to think that he had a shipping container on top of his tower.
Yeah, he's rich.
It's weird.
But I'm pretty sure that was like a digital render when it's flying away. And it looked pretty good
it
for
looked
TV.
It looked all right for TV for the time, but at the same time, you're thinking you could have put your budget somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like a helicopter.
Or a red costume. Or some little horns on his mask.
None of that really bothers me.
I would have liked little horns on his mask. How did they know he's Daredevil?
The only part of his costume that kind of... Oh, because that cop said. But the only part...
No, he said he needs a Daredevil before.
Yeah, and then he got one, didn't he? So there you go.
Yeah, I guess. Good point.
The only part of the costume that kind of bothers me is kind of the belt area. You've got like it's a rather clunky looking belt. But you only really see that in... I think there is a shot in the film somewhere, and then if you just look at promos too long.
Yeah.
Which I've done. It's a great looking suit, and there's some really good looking shots of it.
Yeah. He really looks the part in the costume.
Yeah.
I think that helps.
Yeah.
We're on to, I guess, now quite what was an important film for us growing up, would you say? Or a big film for us growing up?
Yeah.
Would you say it was?
Definitely.
So we're talking 2003's Daredevil.
Time to give the devil his due!
How do you kill a man without fear? We're putting the fear in him.
Written and directed by Mark Steven Johnson on a budget of $78 million, although I'm pretty sure it's $80 million, and it grossed $178,179,718 US. The synopsis: a man blinded by toxic waste, which also enhanced his remaining senses, fights crime as an acrobatic martial arts superhero. That's what IMDb writes. I think they could have done a better job, to be honest. And the cast is Ben Affleck as Matt Murdock, Daredevil, Jennifer Garner as Elektra Natchios, Colin Farrell as Bullseye, Michael Clark Duncan as Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, Jon Favreau as Franklin Foggy Nelson, John Pantoliano as Ben Urich, Leyland Orser as Wesley Owen Welch. Oh, we specifically watched the director's cut. It's a little longer, but that was the film that was intended to be made. So I've added these because they play a little bigger part. Well, I don't even think they're actually in the theatrical version now. Ellen Pompeo as Karen Page, and Coolio as Dante Jackson. I've got some other cast members, but we'll get to them as we talk through the film, because I've got like the young Matt Murdock and his dad and them sort of people.
At this point, you might as well have said them.
Okay, we've got Scott Terra as the young Matt Murdock. He hasn't really done much, but he's in Eight-Legged Freaks, which I thought was worth bringing up, because that's not just a fun little film, but Scarlett Johansson's in that, and she played Black Widow, so we actually got our Black Widow Matt Murdock romance there. It happened, people. No one talks about it.
I thought there were siblings in that.
I don't think so. I thought they were like love interests. I don't think they're related. And then there's David Keith, not to be confused with Keith David, as Jack the Devil Murdoch, probably more famously from Firestarter, with Drew Barrymore, based on the Stephen King story. I don't know if it's the story from Stephen King shares the name or not. So, what are your thoughts on this?
Best movie ever. Move on.
Okay.
Like you said, this is a childhood favourite. Probably one of the reasons I really, really like Daredevil is because of this movie.
Yeah, I would say so. I remember the film magazines at the time with the shots, and it's like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
This is awesome. And then it turns out we'd have seen him in Spider-Man, the animated series, and the video game on PlayStation.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say, who's this guy? And then it turns out it's Ben Affleck, and we've loved him ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a childhood favourite. For me, it also has the best. People probably get confused when I say like music, but I mean Graham Revel's score.
Yeah.
Because this is like one of my favourite movie scores.
It is a really good score.
Yeah.
Although the soundtrack is pretty good. You've got Evanescence.
Graham Revel's score is one of them that really sticks with me.
He did The Crow.
Yeah. I love what he did on The Crow, but probably because I grew up with Daredevil.
Yeah.
Crow I saw later in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, Graham Revel's score, and this is just, like I said, it's probably my favourite movie score.
Yeah.
It gets stuck in my head. The piano bit. It's
more of that emotional scene. I think they play it at the funeral before they actually play Evanescence.
Called Fallen Rose.
But I guess it's similar to that emotional cue that he does in The Crow.
Yeah. And then there's the actual main like Daredevil theme, which is really good as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, really great stuff.
Yeah, because we already loved Raimi's Spider-Man before this.
Yeah.
And I still think that's a great comic book movie. And then this came out, and with this darker tone than what Spider-Man had, I loved it even more because I love the darker stories and stuff that you get. And
yeah.
And I thought, this is how you make a comic book movie. And to learn that it's got a lot of hate, I was really surprised, but it seems to be getting some fans now.
Yeah.
Because it looks great. There's many great looking scenes in this. And the costume design, I think, is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It looks so good. And they spent a lot of time working on that. I know they did.
Yeah.
7 or 8 months or something. That's a long time for one costume.
Yeah, did you see the costume designer one?
No.
Where the Aitken name comes back. It's James Aitken.
Okay.
And we've just mentioned one of his films. So
X-Files?
No.
Oh.
We just mentioned one of his films.
Trial of the Incredible Hulk.
No, we just mentioned one of his films.
Punisher.
It's another great
The Crow
movie. And it's Spider-Man.
Oh.
He also did the Raimi Spider-Man suit.
I mean, it's obvious.
And
in that aspect.
And then 10 years later from this, he does what I consider another great updated comic book costume.
Oh, I'm trying to think. If we talk 2013?
Yeah.
Is it still an MCU film?
No.
Okay.
Kind of has a link to Ben Affleck, I guess.
It's Batman v Superman?
No, because I'm quite surprised.
Man of Steel, sorry.
Yeah. Quite surprised, apparently, not Batman v Superman.
No, but I believe it's the same costume creators, the team that make the costumes are the same on Batman v Superman.
Well, still, amazing stuff. Yes, the Daredevil suit and the Spider-Man suit, spot on.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, even the Man of Steel suit.
I think the biggest problem with Spider-Man, and I think it's more about it being more realistic in early days in superhero costumes looking like the comics, it's the lenses for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I think now, if they were making that in consideration to what we've got, they would have done similar, but the eyes would have been more teardrop shaped.
Maybe.
But I don't know if that would have worked in the Raimi suit.
Nah.
Or as big, anyway. I don't think they'd have gone as big with the teardrops. The shape.
But no, the Daredevil suit for this, amazing.
There's so little detail in it, but the detail really emphasises the suit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the skull cap, I think it's called, for his mask in this, how it fits his face is great.
Yeah.
And the red lenses in the mask, a great touch.
Really good.
Because I'm assuming Daredevil's comic mask has lenses or just goes over the eyes, because if I'm right, he doesn't get the white eyes more often than not. They're always drawn red like the rest of the outfit.
Yeah, red eyes.
Because in Spider-Man the Animated Series, they give him white eyes, I'm sure.
Red.
Don't think the DVD cover does that episode's on.
Red.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't believe you.
I believe me.
You're going to believe you. But there's a lot of great comic book imagery in here, which is something else I particularly like about this. Yes, it's not realistic, but they've realised the world very well, I think. By realised, I don't mean they've noticed a world. I mean, they've actually brought this comic book world to life. I just thought I'd make sure that you're not confusing my words.
Yeah.
Because obviously you get him doing them big jumps across the streets, don't you, and the flips.
Yeah. For me, that gets stranger when I watch it now, I think, than when I was younger. When I was younger, I didn't really care. I thought it looked cool.
Yeah.
And now I think, wow, that dude does cardio.
He must be like some really heavyweight powerlifter as well to get that sort of height and distance on his jumps.
Yeah.
But I imagine if you saw his legs, his thigh muscles are just massive.
Yeah. No, it don't really bother me much now, really.
No, I think what, for me anyway, with them jumps now, is that they're obvious CG.
Yeah.
And you can kind of tell.
Oh, yeah.
But it still holds up. That rat at the very beginning, there's a full CGI rat at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Certain it was real when I first watched that film.
Yeah.
Then watching the special features not long after watching the film on DVD, it's like, that rat weren't real.
Yeah.
And then, like, for a while, it still seemed like it could be real.
Yeah.
And then it looked fake again.
Yeah.
And I think you said this time, that's the most real that rat's looked in a long time when we rewatched it for this podcast.
Yeah, that really says how often we've watched this film, I think. For me to say, this is the most real it's looked this time.
Yeah.
Though I think the last time we watched it was last year, so...
Yeah, we did. I think this is one of our most watched comic book films.
Yeah, it's very evident.
Yeah, they'll see it on social media because I'm going to put an image up that'll explain that.
Yeah.
I'll put it up with the episode image on Instagram, I think, and I'll share an image of it on the socials as well.
Yeah. I think cast on this is amazing. I think Ben Affleck, well, it's one of the things, wasn't it? When they were doing the Netflix series, that was pretty cool for a lot.
Yeah, it's going to have to, isn't it? We're discussing Daredevil.
But we said Ben Affleck, Michael Clark Duncan, Colin Farrell, even Jennifer Garner, and probably really hard to beat.
Yeah.
And then the Netflix series came out, and I think for us anyway, just as good casting wise.
Yeah.
I can see why people would say they're better than these. I think it's because the Netflix series is a more grounded and I think a more
approachable, accessible medium as well.
Yeah.
You know, they did it in a way where you don't have to know who Daredevil is.
Yeah, I think for me the series is like the grounded grittiness, and this movie is the superhero.
Yeah, definitely. But even for a superhero movie, it's kind of grounded in that same way that Raimi's Spider-Man is.
Yeah.
You know, they still feel like humans.
Yeah.
And that's something I appreciate, because there's a scene in this where Affleck comes in after a night of patrolling, or whatever you want to call it, as Daredevil.
Yeah.
He's in his apartment, which again, he's got this swanky apartment. How does he afford this? Foggy's complaining that they've got customers paying them in fish.
Yeah.
and this Matt Murdock's got this massive apartment. It's clearly got a secret place where he can keep his costumes and his equipment, because there's this awesome, like, little Batcave type apartment in like room in his apartment. The apartment looks like it's marble walls everywhere, kind of thing. It's all black.
Yeah.
It looks nice, but also probably a bit dull for some people. It's like, oh, there's not much character in here, and I'm thinking, this place looks nice.
Yeah.
It looks full of character.
Yeah.
It's moody. It's dark. It's empty. And then he's got that massive sound system that just blares music around his apartment as he gets ready.
Yeah.
But no, there's the scene. Sorry, I was on about the scene, wasn't I? Where he comes to his apartment after a night as Daredevil.
Yeah.
And he like pulls a tooth out his mouth, doesn't he? And spits it down the sink.
Yeah.
The blood and that. And then he has a shower and you're seeing the scars on his back, if I'm right.
Yeah, scars on his back.
And then he walks and gets into like a deprivation tank, they call it, where it's like a bathtub, I guess, with a lid on, and it's supposed to be soundproof, and you go in there for relaxing, and they're not cheap.
Nope.
I always wondered what the hell that was.
Yeah.
Growing up. And then I learned as I got older, and I thought, oh, I won't mind one of them, and they're pricey.
Yeah. Well, he saved up.
But
or maybe he found it on a shipping, like,
but
an illegal shipment of deprivation.
Yeah, but I really like that scene, because obviously it shows how heightened his senses are, that he's kind of in pain.
Yeah. Even
as Matt Murdock, because he can't shut them senses off.
Yeah.
You know, because for us, we feel the air around us. He's not just going to feel the air around him, is it? He's going to... That air will be more than just the wind. It'll feel maybe like somebody brushing against you, I guess.
Yeah.
A little more rough.
Yeah, and in the director's cut, before as he's getting in that, he can hear...
screams for help and stuff.
See the woman die.
Yeah.
That he then kind of looks into.
Yeah. But I thought that added this nice... Well, not nice.
No,
but it really added a touch of character to him. That I don't think the actual other versions, I don't even think the comics really has.
No.
Because putting him in the deprivation tank just says how painful the real world is for him to just operate it on a day-to-day basis with his senses as they are. Like, this is a man that can read a book by touching the print on the page, you know. His senses are really, really refined. I mean, he could, if he really wanted, I think he'd make more money as being a food critic. He'd be like a super taster, wouldn't he?
Yeah. No. Got in my head just the man without fear just sitting down to eat a 3-course meal and critiquing.
Yeah.
Don't work for me.
No. But I said as a comic fan, this is something I particularly like because I feel like it's more like a comic.
Yeah.
With its visual elements, you know. There's a lot of visuals where it's like, that'd be a nice picture to have on the wall. That'd be a picture on the wall. Or, oh, I remember that comic cover.
Yeah.
I've seen that comic cover. Is that a comic panel? I think I've read that panel, you know.
Yeah.
And then just to really show the love of the comics in this, we've got a lot of Easter eggs. Do you want to go through them?
I assume you've got more.
I mean, first we've got maybe one of my favourite Stan Lee cameos.
Yeah.
He's the guy that he stops crossing the street.
Yep.
Which I think is actually from a comic storyline of his origin.
It is in there.
And it is in this, isn't it?
That's why this is kind of my favourite one.
Yeah. That's as good a Stan Lee cameo as him playing the postman in Fantastic Four, I guess.
Yeah, that's my
because it's like kind of this throwaway old man character, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it's not a big part in the story, so it's a perfect spot for him to be.
Yeah.
We've got Kevin Smith in this,
which
is a great one because that's two. Because Kevin Smith wrote for Marvel Knights. He wrote the first Daredevil run in Marvel Knights. I forgot what that storyline's called.
Yeah.
And he plays a lab assistant in the coroner's office.
Yeah.
As a lab assistant, and he's called Jack Kirby.
Yep.
Jack Kirby was the original artist on Daredevil and collaborated a lot with Stan Lee. What, you don't think he was?
He's not the original artist on Daredevil.
No?
No. He did the red and yellow concept art, I believe. And then...
before it became full red?
And then the artist who actually worked on Daredevil, I think, did the full red design. Yeah, because Bill Everett did the actual red design. Right.
Well, that brings me to my next one. So we've got Derek O'Connor plays Father Everett. It's who we go to see when he does his confession in those scenes, which is reference to as you said, Bill Everett, who drew the first issue of Daredevil in '64, and then he did covers from '66 '72. But then we've got Paul Ben-Victor as Jose Quezada, who plays the rapist that's on trial.
Yeah.
He's from quite a few TV and film roles. He's a real good character actor, to be honest. Quezada is a reference to Joe Quezada, who's editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics. And he was artist on Daredevil for a couple of years as well in the late 90s.
Yeah.
So that's a good one. There's a boxer called Colan, who's referenced to Gene Colan.
Yep.
Another Daredevil artist from the 60s. Then there's a great piece where there's a character in this called Fallon, played by Mark Margolis, who people will recognise as Hector Salamanca in Breaking Bad. And he's in quite a few Darren Aronofsky films. He's uncredited in this film. And he says, Miller, Mac, Bendis, they're all my fighters. It's in a flashback scene to do with Matt's dad. Well, they're all references, because you've got Miller is Frank Miller.
Yep.
Mac is David Mack, who was an artist.
Yeah.
Then Bendis is Brian Michael Bendis, who wrote quite a bit of Daredevil in the late 90s. I think he's the one that takes over from Kevin Smith, but I'm not 100% on that.
I'm not sure either.
There might be one on a shorter run in between.
Yeah.
So there's quite a lot of like great little references like that to the writers and artists of Daredevil, which it might be one of the films that's done that more than any other comic book adaptation, I would say, that's tried to pay homage to its creators in the from the comic medium.
Yeah.
Did you ask what my thoughts were about this? Or do you want to share yours first?
I kind of shared mine.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, I've got quite a few. Because we watched this on the DVD, because we didn't want to open the Blu-rays. They're still sealed. The scene selection on the disc I found to be pretty cool, because it pairs up the scenes. So you'd have like 1 and 2 next to each other, but they're layered to create the DD emblem of Daredevil. And I've wrote, what a great score, because it starts with the score, obviously, but the opening credits are some of the best opening credits I've seen to a comic book movie, because they're done with Braille.
Yep.
you get the braille for the names, and then it appears into the actual names.
Yeah.
But then it goes through the city, and the city's done in the Daredevil echolocation vision, or whatever you want to call it, his sonar sense.
Yeah.
And I think his sonar sense in this, out of the 3 adaptations we've seen of it, because you see that in the Netflix Daredevil series as well.
Yeah.
I think it's better here. I think this is the best. And it's not a particularly difficult effect, I don't think.
No.
It's just like a 2-tone negative image sort of look in a blue scale.
Yeah. Great though, isn't it?
Yeah. I have put that it's very obvious it's not New York when you know they filmed this in LA.
Yeah. Really obvious.
Them streets are far too wide.
Yeah.
I mean, New York has some wide streets, but I can't explain it, and not being American maybe doesn't help.
No,
but there's an obvious geography to both cities.
Yeah.
And
even looking at the buildings,
yeah,
architecture and all that sort of thing, it's not New York.
Also, that weren't in the list on IMDb in the trivia section, but John Romita is referenced in this because it's also one of the fighters that his dad is fighting. I think it's the last fight that his dad has.
Yeah.
His is the name on the big board outside the building.
Yeah.
It says Jack the Devil Murdoch versus John Romita.
Yeah.
And, that's right, they changed his dad's name in this to the Devil.
Yeah.
I think as a little way to help transition Matt Murdock becoming getting the Daredevil name and that devil look to him.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because in the comics it's
Battling Jack.
Yeah. Which is alright. It's not as cool. But his dad's supposed to be like a glutton for punishment, isn't he, in the ring? Like he'll take a real good beating and be really durable, and that's something that transitions over to Matt's character as well.
Yeah. Yeah, the makeup artist for David Keith, that's who replaced Jack Murdoch, they gave him some prosthetic work.
Yeah, I was surprised about this.
Pronounced brow, broken nose, and a cauliflower ear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known if I hadn't read it, but when you know, it's kind of obvious.
Yeah, because then I'm just thinking, I wonder why he looked really different in this to the...
Really good performance as well.
Yeah, he's great, isn't he? He was another one of them. I thought Netflix won't beat Jack Murdoch from this.
I don't think it did.
No. About the same.
I couldn't even tell you who it was in the Netflix series either.
No, but probably about the same again.
I've also wrote that's definitely a 2000s haircut Matt has.
Yeah.
Which Ben Affleck didn't like because they actually put some red colour in the hair.
Yeah.
And he didn't like it. Apparently it really upset his self-confidence and he didn't like looking at himself in the mirror.
I kind of think Ben Affleck says quite a bit of bad about this movie just in hope that it'll make people like him because this movie gets a lot of hate.
Yeah, because he's a big Daredevil fan.
Yeah.
So much so that Jennifer Garner wanted him on set for Elektra so he could explain the lore to the cast members and about the characters and so on. And speaking of mirrors, about Affleck not liking the look of himself in the mirror, it brings me to reflections.
Yeah.
There are a lot of reflections in this movie.
Yeah.
It's clearly something the director liked at the time. He's like, what if we transition from a reflection into the scene, or the scene moves through this reflection, or we see a reflection, or this isn't a reflection, but we'll put it in his glasses, kind of thing.
It's great though.
It's all right, but
he looks good.
I think once you realise it becomes very overused, and it's like I don't think this is actually adding anything narratively or thematically.
For me, I think it helps build up kind of the pace, just to get you into the next bit, and keep you invested.
Yeah, I guess.
I think that's what really helps with the young mind that I had at this.
Well, you were what, 10 when this film came out?
Yeah, so I think it really helps really keep your attention going.
My next note is Foggy is good fun. Played by Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that scene is great. It's when you get a newspaper and they're discussing, and there's an image of this Daredevil character drawn, and it's very similar to the large bat in a suit from Batman 89.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah.
I think that scene in the diner with him and Foggy is a really, really good scene between two friends.
Yeah. Speaking of 89, we mentioned The Crow earlier. This is very, I'd say, inspired by Batman 89 and The Crow.
Yeah.
Which The Crow kind of felt inspired by Batman 89 as well. Yeah, because Graham Revel, like we said, he did the score on The Crow. But I think there's a lot of overlap with these, because there's not just that. I think even tying the Kingpin further into...
Matt's origin, I guess.
Yeah.
By having him be the death of his father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's from '89 Batman in a sense, and there's just a lot of that. The fight in a church at the end, Well, it's not the climactic battle in this as it is in the other two, but I think it works in this with Bullseye because that is a great. To go back to the Crow, you've got the flaming DD, a big image for this movie at the time. I think they use it a lot for promotional material. I think one of the DVD covers might have the flaming DD. Yeah, they really delve into having that flaming DD is very reminiscent of the Crow when he burns a crow into the floor. I'd say a lot of the running across the rooftops in this is from the Crow.
Even the beat of the music from Revel. Well, having Revel on music.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he requested that for his... He clearly loves the Crow.
Yeah.
I think we mentioned this when we were doing our Crow episode about how it inspired scenes in this and his Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
But the soundtrack on this, I would say, having a soundtrack like he did is very the Crow.
Yeah, he wanted music incorporated into... Yeah. I think it helps with the church sort of being a big part of Daredevil's character and even the Crow's character. Yeah, so all comic books in it.
But yeah, that scene with Foggy just cracks me up. There's the scene where he goes like, "What? And what about your seeing eye dog? Even that ran away."
Yeah,
because of how distant his Matt Murdock is with people.
Yeah,
and I just found it funny.
Yeah, oddly, I feel Affleck probably the biggest ladies' man of the people to portray Daredevil. Probably the least of the ladies' man
in the adaptation.
Yeah,
there is the woman on his voicemail who's breaking up with him.
Yeah,
which is a reference to an actual comic book character from the Frank Miller run as well.
Yeah,
I can't remember her name now.
Oddly, I don't have it. But yeah.
But it leads into the Elektra fight in the park, which people laugh at it and mock it, but I find it stupidly fun.
Yeah.
And I assume you know, but it's actually taken out the comics.
Yeah. Yeah, because Elektra's story in this is very reminiscent of another comic book character who is now more commonly known due to the MCU's Echo.
Yeah.
Because Echo is a Daredevil character created by Bryan Michael Bendis, who you brought up earlier, because Bendis is another prolific writer on Daredevil comic books. He's the closest thing to another Frank Miller for Daredevil.
Like, he was on it for a long time as well, Bendis.
They're the two biggest runs, Miller's and Bendis's. But yeah, the fight with Echo in the comic books is they're in costume.
Yeah.
So it's a bit more...
But the kids actually cheer him on.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of other things that are very similar to Echo's.
Yeah, the dad's death is from Echo, isn't it, if I'm right?
Yeah, even meeting on the rooftop and everything.
And the line she says, do you remember me or something, that's Echo as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Colin Farrell in this film. In fact, this might be my first Colin Farrell film that I saw.
Yeah, I think we mentioned that when we did Phone Booth as well.
Right.
When they mentioned how that was filmed in LA as well.
Yeah. But I think he's great as Bullseye. He really brings them, how he's drawn in the comics, his posture and his facial expressions to life in a really good way.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't have a costume, but I don't care because his face is so animated.
Yeah.
And he's not a character I feel needs a costume.
No.
But I'm bringing this up about Colin Farrell, and just to get to Bullseye as well, is there is no way Bullseye would have made it through airport security.
No. But Bullseye is the comedic relief for me in this film.
He really is, though, isn't he? But that brings me to my next point. I can really sympathise with Bullseye and that old lady on the plane. There's a scene where this old woman just talking to Bullseye when he's on the plane, and she just does not seem to shut up, and she's going about this, that, and the other, and he's just got his music on, and you kind of get it from his perspective, because the music is blaring, and she's like mumbling through it kind of thing, and he's just anxiously like unwrapping peanuts and flicks one into ricochets into her mouth to choke her to death. And I find that so funny. But that old woman is played by Pat Crawford Brown.
Right.
And sadly, she passed away in 2019. She was aged 90, though, so that's pretty good going. I'm sick of looking people up and them being dead.
Yeah, I did it today.
But she's from Rocketeer.
Right.
And she's in Reality Bites, which was quite a biggish film in the early 90s. But I knew her mostly from Desperate Housewives. But she stars in a lot of comedy TV shows through the 2000s for sure. But yeah, I can sympathise with Bullseye at that moment.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been in that situation many times and just not had the skills at flicking peanuts to get out of them.
You need to ask for them as well, I think.
There's a scene I've written in this, and I think it was you that actually brought it up. I've put Daredevil gets suited up quick and ahead of Elektra's car.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was at the same party as Matt Murdock.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's running on rooftops in full suit ahead of the car that he's going to save.
Yeah.
Or try to save.
Yeah.
I've also put, Turk got mentioned by Coolio.
Yeah.
He's not in it, but he got a mention, so that's nice.
Yeah.
I've also wrote, has putting a brolly up ever been so harsh? Which is from the funeral scene.
Yeah.
And at that funeral scene, there's an actor called Kevin Porter as one of the bodyguards for her.
Yeah.
I think he's the one that opens the door, actually, for her to get into the limousine.
Yeah, he is.
But he's in Dodgeball with Ben Stiller. He's on the team. He's one of the mains in that, I guess. But I mostly know him for his work as Batman in Bat in the Sun's YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've also wrote, why do the SWAT show up?
Oh, which bit?
I'm guessing it's the bit where the three of them are supposed to be meeting on the rooftop.
Yeah, weird. Everyone's just out looking for each other at that point, and then the SWAT even just go, we found them.
Yeah,
found all three of them. We knew we're looking for each other.
Yeah.
And then, again, why do they show up at the church?
I don't know.
Well, someone might have reported it at the church.
Yeah,
the window
maybe.
got smashed
Yeah,
and
that's
the organ's
true.
playing like crazy, and it's a giant bloody organ.
That scene with the window smashed and Bullseye's just catching all the shards of glass in perfect discs to throw at Daredevil, and then you get a scene basically ripping off Spider-Man the movie where he backflips to dodge all the stuff. Is very like Spider-Man with the pumpkin razor blade things.
Yeah, I just want to say Daredevil didn't get hit and he had more thrown at him.
And a lot of people bring up that park scene as being maybe the worst part of this film.
Yeah.
But I think it is delightfully fun with how dumb it seems.
Yeah.
It's just enjoyable. I just go with it.
Yeah.
My worst part of this film is the scene with the organ, where Daredevil and Bullseye are having a fight and they start climbing up this organ, and the organ feels fake. I don't believe that organ's ever felt real to me, and I feel it changes size.
Yeah.
In perspective, because there's a part where Daredevil like falls from it, and it's like, how is he falling for so long? I don't think he was this way up, this far up.
Yeah.
And the fight is fine. I like the fight. I like the confrontation. It's the organ itself.
Yeah.
There's even a part where one of the pipes bend back and a load of bats fly out.
Yeah.
Why? Why are bats nesting behind an organ? And why did they not fly out once the organ started playing? They're not going to sit there through that.
No.
It's stupid, and I don't like it.
Well, I can roll with that because I find it just as fun as the park scene.
No. The fight itself is fun, but the inclusion of the organ is terrible and it's off-putting. And I think they should re-edit it.
I still don't think that park scene's supposed to go out did either.
Why?
Because I genuinely think he's just supposed to catch up with her. Then I think she's supposed to like confront him in like self-defense and just kind of take him down. I think it's supposed to be a very quick bit.
Yeah.
I don't think it's supposed to be as long as that. Because then I think it's a really weird scene anyway. Because she walks into the cafe.
Oh, I was going to say I've missed a part.
Then she decides that's been long enough. I'm walking out of the cafe without ordering anything. And then, does she order something? And it just arrives. And then she doesn't have it anyway. So then she just walks out. Matt Murdock's like, I'm going to follow her. And then he follows her to the park. And then they have that fight. Yeah. And then she's like, well, my security guards have just caught up with me now. And I'm going. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's very weird. It's a great introduction to a character.
And then she's like, I thought I lost the security guys when I went in the cafe. Yeah. And you're thinking, you were only in there for 2 seconds.
Yeah, she literally walked in, sat down. Then Matt decides he's going to have a word. I don't even think she puts an order in.
If anything, the security should have been like, why is this guy following her? Because they shouldn't have been that far behind her, surely.
And then, just at the very end, I actually wrote, the Crow's influences are all over this.
Oh, yeah.
But just prior to that, it'll have been while I was watching the credits, obviously, it says Dave Lee trained Affleck and Farrell. Dave Lee is, or was, should I say, a stunt martial artist and actor for many films, and he was the stand-in martial artist and stunt double for Michael Keaton in Batman and Batman Returns. And I think he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I used to follow him on Facebook, and he'd share these cool little videos about training and whatnot. And just a cool old guy, I think. Great stuff. So that's my thoughts with some trivia. Do you have anything more you want to share? Interesting facts or whatnot?
Got some odd ones.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because I don't know why they changed Elektra's dad's name.
Oh.
In the comic books, it's Hugo Nachos.
Yeah, and it's Nicholas in this, isn't it?
Yeah. Oddly, I've grown up to believe it's Nicholas, and I forget it's Hugo.
Maybe it's a reference to Nicholas Hammond, famed Spider-Man actor that I thought was called Nick, and you thought was Neil.
Yeah. I knew it weren't Nick. I knew it was weird. Anyway, Elektra's dad's played by Eric Cavari.
Oh, yeah.
Every time we've seen him in anything, it's just always been Elektra's dad. And then, obviously, it's only like 3 years later he's in Heroes. And
Yeah,
he's
Suresh's
dad in that. And now he's become Mahinder's dad because we can never remember his name.
Yeah.
So anyone I talk to, if I ever say Mahinder's dad, I mean Eric Cavari. He's a good actor.
Yeah.
Suddenly can't think of anything else he's in.
Oh, when I did the comic stuff, I forgot to mention that Frank Miller's in this. He has a little cameo as a man with a pen in his head.
Yep, I think it's the one in his neck. The
Yes,
security guard who Bullseye kills on his way in.
But there's also somebody else surprising in this.
Yeah.
And they're uncredited.
Yeah.
And so is the person who they're a bodyguard for. I mentioned that Fallon's, Mark Margolis, is uncredited as playing Fallon.
Yeah.
Well, Kane Hodder is uncredited as playing Fallon's bodyguard.
Amazing.
Kane Hodder, obviously, well, I say obviously, it might not be well known. He's famous for playing Jason Voorhees for, what, about half of those films, would it be?
No, he's in, I think he only comes in part 7, 8.
So he's in 9, because he's in Freddy vs. Jason.
He's in 10, well, X, I believe. Yeah, it will be him in Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, I'm suddenly forgetting. So yeah, it could be about half, I guess.
But I thought that was pretty cool. And I've not seen anyone bring it up before.
No.
I don't even think it was on the trivia. One very interesting thing I want to bring up. I think I could fill a whole episode of this man by myself, just talking about him if I really wanted to.
Wow. Is it Ben Affleck?
No.
Oh.
There's a man in this called Jimmy Starr.
Oh.
He's uncredited.
It's this guy.
He plays Tavern Patron. What's very interesting about him is his amount of TV roles and film roles where he's just background characters, and his first one is as far back as 77 in Starsky and Hutch.
Right.
He has few producer credits, but nothing most people would have actually heard of, which I find even more surprising.
Right.
Many of his films he appears in to have starred in a comic book and geek culture related things. He's in 89 Batman. Then he misses Batman until Batman Begins. I can't remember if he's in Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises now. He's in Batman v Superman. He's in The Batman. He's in Raimi's Spider-Man. He's in the Thomas Jane Punisher.
Do you know what?
He's in several MCU films. And I only got brought to light to this because there was a guy that kept popping up because I've recently rewatched Dexter.
Yeah.
But only the first 4 seasons. And there was a detective in the background and he popped up several times. I looked him up and it was this guy.
Yeah.
Jimmy Starr. He's in 25 episodes of Dexter throughout the seasons. But most of his appearances, I think, are in the first 4.
Yeah. Pretty no prolific role, right?
Yeah. But anyway, like I said, he's in a lot of these comic book and geek culture related projects on IMDb that he's starred in.
Yeah.
Yet he's produced very little compared to what he's starred in, and nothing anybody would really know. He does have his own talk show, or radio show, or podcast, but his IMDb bio is very short. It barely has anything about him. So I thought I'll check out his Wikipedia. His Wikipedia page doesn't offer much extra, but it does say that he is married to Ron Russell, who is apparently director and producer. So you look Ron Russell up. I think he had less producer credits than Jimmy Starr. Sorry, I just find it very interesting that this man is going through Hollywood, starring in all these great films and TV shows as little background roles, and he's clearly got this radio show somewhere. I think one was even done with like his husband, Ron Russell.
Do you know it's a husband?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just making sure you look that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It says on his Wikipedia, married to Ron Russell.
I mean, like, Ron is a husband, like, male.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Looked him up.
Just making sure.
Yeah, like I said, I think there's a lot that very interesting about this guy, and no one seems to talk about him. You Google him,
right,
and there doesn't seem to be much about him.
Well, for the next few for the rest of the podcast now, well, the rest of our podcast, every episode is going to be a Jimmy Starr movie.
We could be here forever. No, he doesn't have that many, but he's got more credits than you would expect. He's clearly friendly with somebody higher up at a studio or several studios or something, and I'm very fascinated by it, and I would like to meet this guy and have a discussion about his life, because he's just starring in so many great films in these little nobody parts.
He might be someone's favourite actor.
I'm putting him on my list. He's mine now.
Yeah.
One of.
Wow.
But I just had to get that off my chest while I remembered, because I just find it fascinating with his amount of credits. It's unreal. Not his amount, but what they are as well, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And the fact that nobody seems to bring him up, yet he's in all these films.
Amazing.
Yeah. Sorry, your trivia? Anything or no?
Well, we spoke about most of the cast. But
Yeah.
Michael Clarke Duncan.
Oh, yeah.
It was probably one of the most. It's the biggest part, and you've mentioned everyone, like, but I guess.
Okay.
Seems like you've gone about Jimmy Starr for like an hour.
Sorry.
As well.
Jimmy Starr, just a very fascinating topic.
Well, Michael Clarke Duncan, I think he plays Kingpin in the. He's, well, Wilson Fisk, whatever. Again, didn't think he was going to be. Oh, I don't think he's been beat yet, really. Equal to. I've liked everyone that's played Kingpin and Daredevil so far. But Michael Clarke Duncan is just great.
Yeah.
I like the fact he was cast because Mike Stephen Johnson was like, there's just no one big enough and believable enough to be this part.
He said he'd auditioned wrestlers, I'd read. But I couldn't find who the wrestlers were.
He auditioned like multiple people, obviously, and Michael Clarke Duncan's like the best one you can get. But it just makes me laugh because it's like he's most believable sort of thing to Mike Stephen Johnson.
Yes.
Then he's got to be opposed to Ben Affleck, who's the same height.
Yeah, he's 6'4".
So it's not exactly.
All his scenes were he was on a box to make the height difference.
Yeah, and I'm just. So to me, I've always thought Michael Clarke Duncan was bigger than he is.
Yeah.
I thought
they're also together in Armageddon.
Yeah.
So you should have known that they're similar height.
Yeah. Fair in that, I always thought Michael Clarke Duncan was bigger than him. Well, yeah, he's just great in this. Generally don't think anyone better at the time anyway for this film. But,
I don't know. Vincent D'Onofrio was acting at that time. He'd already done one Marvel movie with Men in Black.
I don't think he could have stood up to Ben Affleck though.
No? You think Ben Affleck would have just walked over him?
Yeah.
He's like, who are you, Vincent?
Yeah.
I've seen The Cell.
Yeah. I just don't think he'd been the same.
What are you doing with my fiancée? I mean, Ben Affleck had to wear contacts in this. He was nearly blind for his performance due to his contacts.
Yeah.
Which I found a bit odd because Jennifer Garner's wearing green contact lenses in this.
Everyone's wearing contacts in this.
I don't think everyone is.
Anyway, I never got to say that Michael Clarke Duncan also got to reprise the Kingpin in the Spider-Man series from 2003.
It would be about that because this is 2003.
Yeah. I know Michael Clarke Duncan also expressed interest in working with a Spider-Man.
Yeah, he said he'd love to punch Tobey Maguire in the face and kick Ben Affleck in the face again or something, wouldn't he? Yeah.
And I thought that'd been cool. I'm glad he was down for it anyway.
Apparently people were quite outspoken about casting an African American as Kingpin though.
Yeah.
Which I find a bit don't bother me. But I also read somewhere that apparently Kingpin was originally gonna be black, and the whatever in the comics were like, that's maybe not the best thing to do right now, kind of thing. So he ended up being white.
I don't know about that. Well,
it was in the trivia for this.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it seems that Kingpin in live action, then, like, people didn't like John Rhys Davies because he was he had a beard and whatnot, and people didn't like Michael Clarke Duncan because he was black. So I guess the Netflix series went like, well, really got to get comic accurate Kingpin in here.
We need a bald white man.
Yeah. So I hope everyone's happy about that.
I mean, I think they are.
Yeah, it seems to be.
Well, Vincent D'Onofrio was great in that role.
Yeah.
This is the first Marvel film to include the flicking page sound effect for the Marvel logo.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool for Daredevil, as he's blind.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a big deal because that's like signature sound now. People will recognise that sound at the start of the movie and go like, oh, it's on.
Yeah.
So
got rid of that now.
Yeah.
Everything's MCU. Plays big music.
Oh, I forgot that. I missed the Marvel flicking Marvel scene thing.
I do.
Much better. Reminds you it's a comic.
Yeah.
Although I feel like the MCU are kind of embarrassed to actually remind people that it's a comic book and insist it is a movie universe.
Yeah. I don't know what they're doing. They're not doing comic book movies, I know that.
But obviously we said that we've watched the director's cut and that's the version we're specifically talking about. But other than the Coolio stuff and Karen Page, who's played by the woman from Grey's Anatomy, I said her name earlier, can't remember it now.
Who cares?
There's really not that much different in them. But the cut was made so Fox could have it as a PG-13 as opposed to an R, would it have been?
Yeah.
Which is a shame. But it wanted to be more accessible, apparently, so it could bring in more money.
Yep.
Which I don't think helped, because in the UK it was a certificate 15.
Yeah.
So it hasn't helped. And I mean, that's just the regular cut, not even the director's cut. They're both certificate 15s over here.
Yeah.
Another difference is there's the love scene with Matt and Elektra after the rainstorm. And the confession booth scenes were added in last minute for the...
Yeah, I'm going to say they're reshoots.
Yeah. I think it's weird that they decided to add a love scene, as they call it, for the PG-13.
Yeah.
What I did find really interesting about this, though, I think it's the scene with Kevin Smith, isn't it, where they're looking at the Daredevil stick, his baton or whatever you want to call it, Billy Club. But it's actually his cane, isn't it?
Yeah.
For some reason, they decided, his Billy Clubs are his cane.
Yeah.
I don't particularly like that.
No, so you can go out and quickly suit up. But
where's he carrying his leather suit?
Yeah. In his suitcase.
What suitcase? He hasn't always got one.
Foggy's like, hey, you got them lawyer papers we need? And he's just like,
no. That's a great scene. Where Foggy's trying to handle the case on his own. Because Matt's not there. Yeah. But no, that Billy Club in the morgue, did you see? This?
Yeah. They recoloured it, I believe, in post.
Well, I don't know. It says, what I read is it's a digital creation as the real prop was delivered in the wrong colour.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they edited the colour or just had to do a whole CG render of it.
Yeah.
Either way, I think I wouldn't have known.
No.
After reading that, I feel like I should watch it again to find out.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned Foggy dealing with the courtroom by himself. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a director's cut as well.
Yeah, it is.
Because all the lawyer stuff is...
All the Coolio related stuff is...
But what's funny about that is all the paperwork was in Braille.
Yeah. He's like, I'm sorry, my partner's blind. Also, I was going to say how they changed Matt's dad's boxing match. In the comics, Matt's father won the fixed boxing match and was murdered the night when Matt was in law school.
Yeah.
Which is obviously sometime after Matt was blinded.
Yeah.
Whereas here, it's while Matt was like a 12-year-old or however old.
Not long after being blinded.
Yeah. So it's just a little change like that.
Yeah.
Oh, and obviously Fallon seems to be an analogue for the Fixer, who it was in the comics.
Yeah.
Just a little change like that.
Yeah.
I think it's one of them changes where it's like a weird change to make, but it kind of works. I guess it makes it more tragic because it adds that orphan aspect to the child that a lot of superheroes seem to require.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here's the stuff you were on about, I guess, with Ben Affleck. After negative critical and audience reactions and Ben Affleck's refusal to play the character a second time, numerous producers and screenwriters were attached to potential Daredevil reboot. An initial deadline of October 10th, 2012 was set for if the movie didn't start filming before that date, the rights would revert back to Marvel, which obviously happened. David Slade was originally attached to direct before dropping out due to a scheduling conflict in August 2012. David Slade did 30 Days of Night, which I think is a great comic adaptation.
Yeah.
But Joe Carnahan pitched a sizzle reel, apparently, to 20th Century Fox XX, depicting the character in a hard-boiled 70s set thriller of Manhattan.
Yeah.
I don't know why that, but I think it could have worked.
Yeah.
You can watch that sizzle reel on YouTube, so I guess we'll link it in the description for you to see. I mean, it's mostly just like a compilation of clips to just get a vibe.
Yeah.
I think there's a Warriors clip in there at one point.
Probably.
But obviously, the time lapsed and Marvel moved to make the Netflix Daredevil series, which I think the Netflix era of the Marvel stuff is my favourite entries of the MCU, probably followed by Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah. That era of Marvel's television, probably. Well, minus a few things.
Yeah.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't very good.
I found what I read about the Kingpin. Apparently the character was first written for Marvel Comics. He was sketched as an African-American, but the idea was scrapped due to censors feeling that an African-American villain would have struck nerves in the media because the character was introduced during the Civil Rights Movement.
Right.
Well, I mentioned that the budget was $78 million.
Yeah.
But here it says the success of Spider-Man in 2002 prompted 20th Century Fox to raise the budget from 50 million to 80 million.
Yeah.
And it made back the bulk of that 70 million in just 10 days. I mean, it was a success financially, really. I just don't think it made the money they thought they were going to make from it.
They were expecting Spider-Man money.
I guess if they'd maybe kept the 50 million and the movie still performed as well as it did, a sequel would have most likely happened.
Well, a sequel did happen.
Yes, it did. Here's what I was looking for. According to producer Gary Foster, Brett Cullen was considered to play the part of Matt Murdock's dad, and Donald Logue the role of Foggy Nelson.
Yeah.
They then end up playing similar roles in Ghost Rider from Mark Steven Johnson.
Yep.
This was quite a list I found as well. Actresses that were up for the part of Elektra.
Yeah.
You see this?
I've seen it, yeah.
Can you name any?
No.
Okay, we've got Penelope Cruz.
Hang on, I can name one. Give me a second.
Oh, I know who you're going to name.
Natasha Malv.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. That's because she's in the next film we're going to discuss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've got Penelope Cruz, Selma Hayek, Natalie Portman, Lucy Liu, Jessica Alba. Jessica Alba could have worked, I think.
Yeah.
Katie Holmes. I don't know who that is. Mia Maestro.
I know the name, but I can't think.
Rona Mitra. I know the name and I can't place who that is.
Isn't that Underworld 3? Right, no,
Yes, it is, yeah. Jolene Blaylock. I don't know. And Neve Campbell were considered for the role of Elektra. But then I also read in another thing that Monica Bellucci, Kate Winslet, Jerry Ryan and Nicole Kidman were top contenders for the role.
Yeah.
Crazy. And I think I already mentioned about Vin Diesel being approached for the role of Bullseye, which later went to Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
And then he was considered apparently for the part of Daredevil.
Yeah.
Which I just can't have seen him in either of those roles.
I don't believe it.
Which then obviously went to Ben Affleck. I also saw that Ben Affleck was considered for
Bullseye.
Yeah, and Colin Farrell was considered for Daredevil.
Yeah.
I found that a bit odd. Other contenders apparently for Daredevil were Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Which I find an odd one.
He didn't want to do it because he didn't want to get roped into superhero stuff.
Yeah. And he still hasn't, even though he has actually cameoed in the MCU.
Yeah.
Edward Norton, who went on to do The Incredible Hulk, which I think is a great adaptation.
Yeah.
Guy Pearce, who didn't want to do superhero films either, and then became the villain in one of the worst superhero films of Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
So good on him. But one actor I did find that was apparently up for the role was Matthew Davis, also known as Matt Davis.
Yeah.
Most people, I guess, will recognise him from Vampire Diaries.
Yeah.
And whatever that other show spin-off was that he was in as the same character.
Yeah.
I know him from What About Bryan?
Yeah.
Which is a TV show. I'm not just on about myself.
Yeah.
But he's in Tigerland with Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
Good actor. I think it'd have been a good choice to have replaced Harrison Ford to have continued making Indiana Jones films, but I guess they weren't interested in making good Indiana Jones films.
No.
Michael France wrote a draft for a Daredevil film in '98 featuring Daredevil, Elektra taking on the Owl and Gladiator. If you know the name Michael France, it's probably because he wrote Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I know.
The Ian Grufford and Jessica Alba one. Yeah. He wrote Cliffhanger.
Yep.
He wrote GoldenEye.
Yep.
He wrote Ang Lee Hulk.
Yep.
And he wrote Punisher 2004.
Yep.
For those interested as well, Bullseye's motorcycle in this for the scene where it appears is a Triumph Bonneville America. People like vehicles sometimes. Ben Affleck was paid $11.5 million for this role.
Yep.
Then the second biggest salary for an actor playing a superhero.
Yep.
Which I find ridiculous.
To be fair, I think it's still the first highest paid salary for playing a superhero.
Because the next one's Judge Dredd at number 1 with $15 million.
Yeah.
And you don't class Judge Dredd as a superhero.
No.
Yeah. He's a police officer / judge. But I guess that adaptation, borderline superhero.
I guess when people bring up the definition of a superhero, it's when a guy can take on a supervillain.
Yeah.
And a supervillain can take on a superhero.
Yeah. So. Jon Favreau obviously was in this as Foggy Nelson.
Yep.
He went on to star and direct in Iron Man.
I thought you were going to say Chef.
Yeah, and Chef. But that makes him the second actor to direct a comic book adaptation that they're also starring in after Bill Bixby, which was for Trial of the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
But he also went on to star in Spider-Man No Way Home, which had the Charlie Cox Netflix Matt Murdock cameo.
Yep.
So that's kind of something interesting. But then other projects, other directors that were considered for this, should I say, were Rennie Harlin of Die Hard 2.
Yeah.
The worst, I would say the worst Die Hard, but I forgot that 4 and 5 exist.
Yeah.
But we covered one of his films with The Adventures of Ford Fairlane.
Yeah.
But Tim Burton was apparently up to direct.
I don't believe that one. I don't know why.
He was considered to direct, I guess, so it was like who the studios were looking at.
Yeah.
Mark A.Z. Dippé, I don't know who that is, I was supposed to look them up. And Sam Raimi, who I think could have done this to a similar level, but maybe a little more brighter in colour, more in line with his Spider-Man.
I think if he'd have done this, it'd have been a bit more real.
Yeah, similar to his first Spider-Man, I think, but with a few more nighttime scenes, I guess. But I would have liked to have seen that. But I think it's obvious that Dave Lee from the Burton Batmans did some of the stunt work on this and helped train them, because there's some really good fights in here. You don't get to see them properly in the theatrical cut either. They're extended, aren't they, actually, in the director's cut?
Yeah.
But I really recommend this.
Nowhere near as good as this next one, are they?
Don't hype it up.
What? It's Elektra, 2005.
They're here.
So you really used to kill people.
It's what I'm good at.
Directed by Rob Bowman and has way too many writers on, with Zach Penn, Stuart Zickerman, and M. Raven Metzner. Stars Jennifer Garner as Elektra, Goran Viznik as Mark Miller, Kirsten Zine as Abby Miller. Oh, sorry, she was then Kirsten Prout. William Lee as Carigi, Terence Stamp as Stick. Synopsis: an assassin's change of heart leads her into a war against an evil crime syndicate. That's the Hand.
Yeah.
So people know. Yeah.
I think the opening is pretty strong.
Yeah.
And visually compelling.
Yeah.
Although I did read that the opening was going to be in linear format, and I think it maybe should have been.
Yeah.
Also in the opening, Jason Isaacs. He's uncredited.
Yep. Great in it, though.
Which sucks. He's in it.
Yep. He's uncredited.
Yeah.
Don't know why.
Also, I noticed her pendant was back.
Yeah.
Bit odd.
I think it's a different one.
It looks different, but it seems weird to have a different one.
I was supposed to look that up about the pendant thing. I forgot.
I was supposed to say the braille on her pendant in the Daredevil movie is incorrect.
Yeah.
It's supposed to say her name, Elektra.
Yeah.
The spelling's wrong.
Yeah.
It starts with AI.
Yeah. I think the one in Daredevil was the gift from her mother.
Yeah, it was.
And I think the one in Elektra is her mother's.
Ah, right, okay. Yeah, I think you're right.
That's how invested I was in this film. But yeah, you're right. The opening scene with Jason Isaacs is the best bit. He plays a character called DeMarco. Not really relevant, but there's a comic book prequel that came with the director's cut DVD. Did you read it or not?
No, I never got around to reading it, sorry. It's got a title, hasn't it? Do you know its title?
On the Rise. I don't know why it's called On the Rise, but yeah. The comic book prequel pretty much picks up where Daredevil left off. Her body's in the ambulance. They're about to take it to the hospital and then they get stopped by Stick, and then he takes her to wherever Stick is in this, which again I can't remember.
I don't think it said it.
They just seem to travel places really quick.
Yeah. I honestly think the writing of this movie is a mess.
Yeah.
Apparently, I think 3 writers wrote it originally and then somebody else did a rewrite.
Yeah.
I can't remember who did the rewrite or whatnot now.
I saw something about one of the producers rewriting bits. But yeah, the comic book picks up where Daredevil left off and got to the ambulance Stick. Yep. And next thing you know, she's doing the assassin's thing.
Oh, right.
So there's no real reason why she just becomes an assassin. She just does, how it is when you're brought back from the dead.
Yeah.
You get trained as an assassin. Daredevil's in it. It's like her first time back to New York.
Yeah.
And then Daredevil running across rooftops. He's got a bit of narration thing very similar to what he has in his own movie, but I couldn't read it like I could imagine Ben Affleck saying it, so it really threw me off. It didn't feel like Ben Affleck's voice. And then it kind of goes into that Daredevil's got to go stop some murder of, can't remember the name whom she's after in that. Anyway, she ends up killing the guy and leaving another pendant, I'm guessing, or it's supposed to be the one she leaves at the end of Daredevil. I don't know.
All right.
Well, he picks that up and says something like, I don't believe it'd be her. I think that's weird. How many pendants does she have? Because she's leaving them all over the place.
Yeah.
And then she goes to kill Jason Isaacs' character, DeMarco, at the end of that.
Right.
She gets given that. So it's like, how long has she been an assassin? How long is
Yeah. I did have a flick of it, and I did see that they were in comic book outfits.
Yeah.
Even Bullseye, if I'm right.
Yeah.
Because you get quite a bit of a recap at the end of Daredevil, don't you?
Yeah, you get the image of her death from Daredevil where the Psi doesn't go through her.
Apparently,
top.
it doesn't in the original comic.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, go to Comics Authority.
Yeah.
What were they called? I've got it written down somewhere. Comics Code Authority.
Yeah.
They're the ones. I knew it was something like that.
I do know one of the writers, if not two of them, had worked on What About Bryan, Alf as an Incredible Hulk.
Yep, that was Zickerman and Metzner.
Alf and What About Bryan are two shows that never made it past 2 seasons that I really would like to cover for cancelled too soon.
Zach Penn that did Alphas, so.
Yeah.
But you mentioned Alphas, I was just thinking, what about Bryan?
And I do know that the cinematographer on this worked on the X-Files TV show.
Yeah.
He was the cinematographer on X-Files 2.
Yeah, I want to believe.
Yep. Well, he was cinematographer on Sarah Connor Chronicles, Mad Men, and he was the cinematographer on all of a 13-episode TV series called Daybreak that never made a season 2, which is a phenomenal show that I would also like to cover.
Yeah.
He also directed an episode of Hellstrom, which is another great show.
Yeah.
Several episodes of The Rookie, Blacklist, and Castle.
Yeah.
His cinematography is pretty good. I think it's the direction that's bad with this film.
I'd say it's mainly the writing as well. And yeah, I guess direction. Probably don't know. Because that opening bit's really well done. I don't know why it just couldn't all stay like that.
Because they needed the PG-13 rating on this. They weren't allowed to be dark or anything.
Yeah, they had to really lighten it up. I'd say it's studio for the whole more than anything.
Yeah, and I still think the script is pretty weak.
Oh, yeah.
Because it is supposed to be a sequel to Daredevil.
Yeah. But then they felt they had to cut ties to it in a way.
Yeah, because Ben Affleck had a cameo and they cut that out.
Yeah. Even director cut it. I did read a nice thing from the director on about the director's cut and all the special features and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, because we can't watch ours because we need a multi-regional DVD player.
Yeah, he was just talking about how when it's on home release, you've really got to make it really special. So he hopes the director's cut and all the special features make up for
the lacking
a
film.
Great home experience or whatever.
Also, I'm surprised you, being a comic book fan, didn't choose this as your Christmas movie.
Yeah, I didn't know it was a Christmas movie. That upset me.
It's barely a Christmas movie. It's clearly set at Christmas time because, is it Mark Miller he's called?
Yeah.
And his daughter are listening to Jingle Bells at one point.
Yeah, I think there's a Christmas tree
in
the background.
Yeah, maybe.
Christmas lights are set up because they're on the roof. And and that ninja, he crawls along the roof and then Elektra does that cool jump in the air, stabs him through the roof, and then he turns into a gas cloud.
Yeah.
I really don't understand the gas clouds.
Well, obviously no blood's required then. It's like video games when they tame them down,
they really looked at video games. We need enemies like that, and they just turn into gas clouds, and it doesn't. It's not even a cool.
Speaking of Elektra killing that guy on the roof there, that links to, I guess, the scene that I think's weird. Why hire Elektra to kill Mark and his daughter when they've sent a team there that night? Is it simply because she's living across from them? And she builds that compound bow?
She's sent there to kill them, and then she's like, I can't do it. And then they go, Elektra's not doing it. And then they send in the team of ninja.
When did they learn she's not doing it, though? I don't remember her actually say, I'm not doing that kill, actually. They just send a team there that night,
she packs a bow up and decides I'm not killing them. They're just like, oh, she's packed a bow away.
I don't think she told them.
No.
I guess it's maybe because she didn't report in and say that she killed them.
Time is supposed to have passed and you realise, but it
it's
feels
just
like,
that night.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to happen during. I don't know. It's really weird. Oh, I never mentioned budget for this, by the way.
Oh,
it was $43 million.
Okay, and it grossed 10.
Oh no, it did better than you think.
50?
$56,995,646.
I know some people wanted to see this. I mean, I wanted to see it at the time because it was a spin-off from Daredevil. Yeah. But I don't remember it ever coming into cinemas over here for our local cinema at the time. I mean, I'd have been, 15 when this came out?
I weren't really looking it up at the time, so I don't know.
And I guess if it was a choice of this or Batman Begins, it was going to be Batman Begins.
What? It's both superhero take on ninjas.
Yeah, I guess.
One's surprisingly darker than the other.
Yeah.
No, to be fair, I think the opening to Elektra, if it had stayed all like that, I'd have probably
been a good film.
I'd have probably gone like, this is better than Batman Begins.
Yeah.
Like, the look of it and everything.
As for the look of this, I wrote every set feels void of character.
Oh yeah.
Not one of it feels like a real place in any way.
No.
Like Daredevil, you've got like CGI rendered buildings, color changes. You know, you've got this altered color that's more surreal than real life, and yet it's believable of a world. This doesn't. doesn't feel like a real world.
No, budgetary reasons have set it away from the city and everything, so it could be a bit more secluded and whatnot, but there's just nothing to it. There's no style, especially after such an opening with style.
Yeah.
Like, the red of her outfit looks great.
Yeah, apparently it was intended to be really visually striking on the scene.
Yeah.
But I read that Garner wanted the red outfit.
Yeah.
Because she never got it in the Daredevil movie.
Yeah.
That she insisted on having it for this.
Yeah. I'm going to butcher this name. The costume designer on this one. Lisa Tomsison? I don't know. I'm sorry. But they did X-Files, I Want to Believe.
Yeah.
X-Men 3. The Punisher from 2004.
Yeah.
And Daybreak, the TV series.
Ah, right, okay.
She was the assistant designer on Daredevil and Spider-Man.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, both of them. Yeah, good for her. I mean, it shows the continuity, I think, through the work, because it's a great outfit.
Yeah, no headband though.
But I have a lot of problems with this, because there's the villains, the Hand in this, and they've all got their own weird little powers, but it's never explained as to how or why.
Yeah, William Lee, who they want as Karigi.
Yeah, and is he supposed to be immortal?
I think so.
Because there's the flashback scene where there's a lot of flashbacks in this where Elektra's a little girl.
Yeah.
And there's a scene that keeps coming up like a dream, isn't it? Where she sees like a demon in the room and it like blurs across to the doorway.
Yeah.
Then like later,
by the way, can I just get this in here? Because he's uncredited for this.
Yes.
And it upsets me.
Okay.
It's Tom Woodruff Jr.
Okay.
He's famous for being the alien. The scene.
Oh, right, in the first Alien film.
Well, he does the effects for that one, but Alien 3 onwards, pretty much.
Ah, right, okay. That's incredible.
Like the AVP movies, I think, both.
But then you learn that demon is actually the William Lee character.
Yeah. So they're like...
And it just seems a bit weird.
Yeah.
I don't understand how she'd remembered this demon, I guess.
I think it's the childlike mind remembering the great evil that took her mother away, and she's like, oh, it must have been a devil of sorts. And then it's just William Lee, cool guy. William Lee, he goes on to face Wolverine? Yeah, the Wolverine. Yeah, the Wolverine. Well, I don't really think he faces the Wolverine, which is a bit upsetting.
He was supposed to be Silver Samurai, right?
Yeah.
He's the one that actually has the Silver Samurai's name.
Yeah. Upsets me every time.
In this, I think it's revealed that Stick brought Elektra back from the dead using something called Kimuguri. And it allows him to also see into the future and what's helped heighten his senses.
Yeah.
And he's partially trained Elektra in that.
Yeah.
Well, Kimuguri, I looked it up to see if it was a thing.
Yeah.
And it's a Japanese, I forgot what it means in Japanese, but it's from Star Wars lore at some point.
Yeah.
Apparently there's 3 tiers to it.
Yeah.
Yet the Star Wars fan page I was on names 4 tiers.
Yeah.
So it's apparently a 3-tiered thing in Star Wars, and then they list these 4 tiers.
Yeah.
Physical mastery, martial mastery, mystical mastery, spiritual mastery. That's 4.
Yeah.
I think the last 2 are maybe actually 1.
Yeah.
But then it only explains what the first 2 were.
Right.
So, Christ knows.
Not me.
And then my final thought on this film is there's some good ideas here, but it's kind of a nothing film.
Yeah.
Because there's parts where it's like, oh, I'm kind of enjoying it, and then it feels like there's nothing happening even when there's things happening.
Yeah.
I do think the visual effects are pretty good for the budget they've worked on, and the time constraints and so on.
Yeah.
Because there's the tattoo guy, and he has that like wolf come out of him. That's a pretty good moment, and the snake stuff.
Yeah, effects-wise, it's not bad, but when you're watching the film, you're like,
it's weird.
I don't need this.
No. Because it's just come out of nowhere. They're doing too much.
Yeah, you're like, I just watched Daredevil. Now I'm watching a guy with a wolf tattoo.
Yeah. Would you have preferred it if they scrapped the stupid powers that are in it, and it was just literally a team of ninjas and you get some good martial art fights? Because I'm pretty sure I would have.
Yes, because William Lee is the best one. He doesn't really display much of anything.
Oh, I think you said who the actress was, who's the daughter to Mark Miller in this. I forgot her name.
Kristen Zine now, but it was Prout back then.
Well, she was in I think it ran for 4 or 5 seasons. A great like sci-fi drama show called Kyle XY.
Yeah.
That's a really good show. I would recommend checking that out if you. It's one of them sort of shows you could watch with a family. You know, if you've got kids or whatnot. It's age appropriate, I guess. It's the word I'm after, I think.
Yeah. Is there anything you were going to say about the character?
I mean, it's an odd character, isn't it?
Well, it's just that there's a character in this played by our favourite Colin Cunningham.
Oh yeah,
He plays
From
McCabe.
Blood Drive.
Yeah, Blood Drive.
Yeah.
He plays McCabe.
Yes.
But the Abby character in this is similar to a comic character, Nina McCabe.
Yeah.
Elektra witnesses her father's death. So I just think, like, you've got a character similar to that character, then you've got a McCabe character in this.
Would it have been better for her to have been McCabe's daughter?
Yeah.
And the hit is on her, but McCabe's been given the contract not knowing that it's his daughter?
Or something. You know, just... There's many things that I just keep thinking, the plot of this could have been great.
I would love to see what the original script was before it got this apparent economic rewrite.
I'm really confused.
I don't want to rush you along, but we've just passed 2 hours, so we should maybe wrap this up. Any thoughts or whatever you need to say?
All right, I'll run through it.
Yeah.
The opening bit with DeMarco, by the way, it's a near direct.
From an issue
from Robert Roddy's issue 23, volume 2 of Elektra, which I thought must be a good issue.
Yeah.
Bowman was apparently inspired by Burton's Batman and Raimi's Spider-Man as their character studies of superheroes.
Yeah, I don't think he understands what a character study is.
No, I don't either. Bowman wanted this R-rated.
That I think he should have fought for.
Yeah. Bowman met Avi Arad apparently 3 years prior to this and discussed interest in making an Elektra movie.
Yeah.
And I always bring this up. Music was by Christoph Beck.
Yeah.
This really upset me. I saw that he'd done a lot of MCU stuff, and I thought that's bad. And then I saw that he did Edge of Tomorrow and Run of Runner. I thought they're pretty good. And then I got to the thing where I thought, why are you working on Elektra? And that was Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Ah, right, okay.
And he did all of that. And I thought,
so he's the guy that did the bow, 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 bow.
Well, I think that's actually from a song.
Oh.
I think it's similar to how
I thought that was rumoured it was from a song.
I don't know. I thought it was similar to how they got Angel's theme, because that's from a song. But he also did the first season of Angel. So I thought, what a cool guy.
Yeah.
And he did this. And
For the talent involved in this film, it's a real letdown.
Oh, yeah. Did you say the director did The X-Files and Reign of Fire?
No. It's hard to believe it's the guy that directed those films.
Yeah. I'm surprised he's done any other films.
I get the idea that the studio had a lot of say in what this film should be.
And should not be.
Yeah. This is Terence Stamp's third comic book film.
Nice.
Or third comic book film character. Because obviously he's in both Supermans from the Reaver. He's in Superman 1 and 2.
Yeah.
When I say both, I mean the first two.
Yeah.
And then I forgot what the other one was because I don't remember who he's in it.
Wanted.
Yes.
No, I'd rather just say that he voices Jor-El in Smallville and leave it.
Yeah, well, that's not a film.
No, but it's cool.
He's a great voice of Jor-El.
He is, isn't he?
I think I prefer him as Jor-El than Zod.
Yeah, kind of. But I think it's because we've had more time with that.
Yeah, maybe.
This movie's so disappointing.
It is, and I don't like talking bad about films. I mean, it's not that... I mean,
it's disappointing, but I wouldn't say... I think it's very flat out average.
Yeah.
Like, you can watch it, kind of get something out of it, but not enough. Not what you want. Not action, anyway.
I think the only other actual comic book character in this is one of the assassins that are coming for him, that Stone.
Typhoid. It's based on Typhoid Mary.
But so she's not a comic book character. Yeah, exactly. It's Stone.
Yeah.
But Stone should be on Stick's side as part of the Hand.
Yeah.
And he...
the start of part of the Chased.
I don't know.
Stick
I'm not all that
Stone
familiar.
are part of the Chase, who oppose the Hand.
Sorry, yeah, that's...
Yeah.
But my point is they're aligned together.
Yeah.
And they're not here.
No.
And Stone has a stupid death.
Oh, yeah. Gets crushed by a tree.
Yeah.
Might as well say it there. He becomes a gas cloud like everyone else. We all become gas clouds in the end.
Oh, there's that really good side throw that Elektra does through the hedge maze.
Oh, it's wonderful.
That's a good kill. But I think it goes too long going through the hedges.
I think once you get a fight scene in this, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
It's mainly just the plot. I'll be honest with you. Why were they trying to kill Mark Miller and his daughter?
It does get explained. It's something to do with accounting or something for the Hand.
Let's leave it at that.
And I think she's partially trained by the Hand. She's the treasure they want or something.
Yeah, she's the treasure. Stupid name.
It's like the Black Sky thing from the Daredevil Netflix show.
Yeah.
Which sets up something great that they never went into anymore. Hopefully the Born Again show comes back to that.
Yeah. Well, I'll wrap this up now.
Any last thoughts on the films in general?
I recommend Daredevil 2003, I always do. And Charlie the Incredible Hulk, I think it's amazing.
I think it's worth seeing just for historic purposes, if nothing else, as well.
Even if you want a bit of fun, I guess. Elektra.
Unless you're a completionist, maybe leave it out.
Yeah. If you want to dip your toes into it.
I've seen it maybe handful of times now.
And you can barely remember it.
And after a couple of weeks, I don't remember much other than the opening scene and how cool the red outfit is to get.
Yeah, if you want to see Jennifer Garner kick some ass,
Yeah.
just watch Alias
Yeah.
or Daredevil.
Or Peppermint.
Yeah, Peppermint. We should cover Peppermint.
I'd like to, because I think it'd pair well with, is it the Brave one with Jodie Foster?
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
Oh, and then there was that one with, I forgot her name. Is it Diane Kruger? It was like
Yeah.
a German one. That was
Yeah,
a good one.
that was pretty good.
I can't remember the name of it.
Oh.
But yeah, wrap us up. This has gone on long enough.
Yeah, definitely. Let's get out of it before we become gas clouds. So that's the end of the show. Thank you for joining us this week. And if you haven't already, click like and subscribe.
Click and click.
Is that really going to be your new thing?
I don't know. Why did I do it last week?
Last time I had to do the outro.
Sorry. Start again.
That's exactly what we had to do last time. So that's the end of the show. Thank you for joining us this week. And if you haven't already, click like and subscribe. A glowing review would also be appreciated. We are Sick_critique on X and Instagram, and Sick-critique on Blue Sky. Links to those and more can be found in the show's description. And remember to join us next week, as we'll be discussing the many movie outings of The Punisher, with Dolph Lundgren's from 1989, Thomas Jane's from 2004, and Ray Stevenson's in 2008. Thank you, and goodbye.
Goodbye. Bang, bang, bang. Because Punisher.
Yeah.
Might take bang, bang, bang out.
Now leave it in.
Okay.
Leave it skip discussion.
Okay.